Hello, this is Angelia. Happy St. Patrick's Day. You are watching or listening to the podcast, Why You Do What You Do. The podcast that talks about psychology and, human development. Been a while since I did this one. My husband had an operation, and so I was taking care of him for 3 weeks. It's been a while. But anyway, hopefully this podcast helps you figure out maybe a little bit more about why you do what you do. Today we are going to talk about problems in encoding, storage, and retrieval. And that's in your memory in your brain, not anything else. Older adults tend to be less efficient and precise than younger ones in encoding new information to make it easier to remember. So, that means for older folks, it's harder to remember things, because it's harder for it to store in the brain. For example, by arranging material alphabetically or creating mental associations, and a lot of us do that, like if I need to remember a number, I'll remember a rhyme that goes with it. Like if it's something 9, 369, people use a lot of little mnemonic devices to remember things. Most studies have found that older and younger adults are about equally knowledgeable as to effective encoding strategies. And that's because a lot of times people teach you that. You have teachers that teach you how to do mnemonics and memory things and, word rhyming and things, the one I always thought was silly is, take your first letter and spell out a word, because to me that never, stuck. Yet in laboratory experiments, older adults are less likely to use such strategies unless trained or at least prompted or reminded to do so. So older folks, we don't think about that. We're trying to remember it without, any type of mnemonic to help us. So, unless you remind them, hey, you can use a rhyme or whatever you want to do. And then, we're like, oh yeah. So when younger and older adults were briefly instructed in an effective memory strategy. Okay, sorry, had to pause. My son came in. When younger and older adults were briefly instructed in an effective memory strategy, visual imagery, for recalling associated word pairs, such as king and crown, accurately, age differences in frequency of use of the strategy were fairly small and did not adequately account for age differences in recall. Excuse me. Thus, even when older adults use the same strategy as younger adults, they may use it less efficiently. So, younger folks, you got it easier on the older folks, because your brain's still young. It's still a little quicker, can use things more efficiently, and we're slowing down. It's not so great, but, Another hypothesis is that material in storage may deteriorate to the point where retrieval becomes difficult or impossible. And I know from when I had my stroke, there's some fried synapses up there. And I can have a word, and I know the word, and I know it's there, but I can't get it from there to there, and that's frustrating. So when you see me, going and pausing, that's because there's a word and it needs to come out, and it's not coming out. That's what I said. I had a thesaurus, and I was studying the thesaurus so that in case my brain can't come up with one word, it can come up with the other words that are similar so that I can get said what I want to say. So you can adapt to things like that. Some research suggests that a small increase in storage failure may occur with age. As we get older, can't remember as well. It floats away sometimes. However, since traces of decayed memories are likely to remain, it may be possible to reconstruct them or at least to relearn the material speedily. Now, some folks repress things or don't remember things, and they might go to a hypnotist to help them try and remember, or go to therapy to help them try and remember. Like I said, if it's there, they can usually help you to find it. And again, if you're trying to relearn something that you learned before, basically practice and going over the thing is going to be the best way to do that. Older adults have more trouble with recall than younger adults, but do about as well with recognition. So it might be harder to remember, but, recognizing a thing, we're just as good as the young folks, which puts fewer demands on the retrieval system. So, that's the thing, where it's in there, but your brain has to retrieve it and then bring it to the fore, and sometimes that's hard work for the brain. Even in recognition tasks, however, it takes older people longer than younger ones to search their memories. So even though it's there, again, it might take older folks a little more time to find it. Of course, we must keep in mind that most research on encoding, storage, and retrieval has been done in the laboratory. These functions may operate somewhat differently in the real world. And of course, we know that's true because, there's always exceptions to the rule and everybody's unique. And what's true for one person might not be true for another person. And like, I had a grandma that had several strokes, and by that time she was just, not making a lot of sense, and just there was no cognitive ability left. She was confusing everybody with everybody and confusing people's age and who belonged to who, and it was just not there. Excuse me. And I have a mother-in-law who's also kind of got some slippage going on. She's very confused. She can't keep things straight. And that just happens as you get older. So, that's a shame, but it happens. So as we get older, expect that there's going to be some problems in encoding, making new, taking in new information and putting it in your brain, storage, pulling out those memories, and retrieval. Sometimes it's just, gone. So, hopefully this has helped you figure out maybe a little bit more about why you do what you do. Please like and share this educational program so we can spread it around the world. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, go to my Patreon page and become a patron. Thanks for watching. That's all for now. Until next time.